ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 Now we'll do the Mangalacharan prayers together.
ॐ
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य
अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
येन
तस्मै
तस्मै
श्रीगुरवे
श्रीगुरवे
नमः।
नमः।
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
स्थापितं
स्थापितं
येन
येन
भूतले
भूतले
स्वयं
स्वयं
रूपः
रूपा
कदा
कदा
मह्यं
मह्यं
ददाति
ददाति
स्वपदान्तिकम्।
स्वपदान्तिकम्।
वन्देऽहं
वन्देऽहं
श्रीगुरो
श्रीगुरो
श्रीयुतपदकमलं
श्रीयुतपदकमलं
श्रीगुरुं
श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च
वैष्णवांश्च
श्रीरूपं
श्रीरूपं
सदा
साग्रजातं
सद्गजातं
सहगणं
सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं
साद्वैतं
साद्वैतं
सावधूतं
सावधूतं
परिजनसहितं
परिजनसहितं
कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान्
राधाकृष्णपादान्
सहगणललिता
सहगणललितांश्च
श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च।
श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च।
हे
हे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
करुणा सिन्धो
सिन्धो
दीनबन्धो
दीनबन्धो
जगत्पते
जगत्पते
गोपेश
गोपेश
गोपिकान्त
गोपिकान्त
राधाकान्त
राधाकान्त
नमोऽस्तुते।
नमोऽस्तुते।
तप्त
तप्त
काञ्चन
काञ्चन
गौराङ्गी
गौराङ्गी
राधे
राधे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते
वृषभानुसुते
देवी
देवी
प्रणमामि
प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिये।
हरिप्रिये।
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च
कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च
पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो नमः।
नमः। नमः
नमो
ॐ
विष्णुपादाय
विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले
कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय
श्रीमते
श्रीमते
भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति
स्वामिनिति
नामिने।
नामिने।
नमस्ते
नमस्ते
सरस्वते
सरस्वते
देवी
देवे
गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
गौरवप्रचारिणे
निर्विशेष शून्यवादी
निर्विशेषशून्यवादी
पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे।
जय
जय
श्री
श्री
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य
प्रभु
प्रभु
नित्यानंद
नित्यानंद
श्री
श्री
अद्वैत
अद्वैत
गदाधर
गदाधर
श्रीवासादि
श्रीवास आदि
गौरभक्तवृंद।
गौरभक्तवृंद।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
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 कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे
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 राम हरे
राम
राम
हरे राम
राम राम
राम राम
हरे
हरे
हरे।
हरे।
श्री कृष्ण भगवान की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। Welcome back to our weekly study of Bhagavad Gita. We are reading from Bhagavad Gita Adhyay 8 or chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga or attaining the Supreme. And last week we read up to verses 23. Yeah. So here in this chapter, Lord Krishna is now explaining about the time when a living entity or a jivatma leaves this body. What are his destinations and how he can think of Krishna, and based on what his consciousness is, where does he go, what his destinations are. First he gave description about the spiritual world and also the material world, and then in the material world he mentioned that abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartina arjuna, that even if somebody gets birth in even brahma loka, which is above swarga loka, there are 14 planetary systems, 14 loka. So we on earth are in the middle, earthly or bhuloka. Then above us is Bhuvarloka, Svargaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, and Brahmaloka. And below us are Tal, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Patal, Rasatal. So all these are called hellish planets, or
lower planetary system, and there are another 27 hellish planets, but we'll discuss that sometime. So where are the destinations? Where does people go after leaving this body? So that's what last week we read, that yatra kale tunavrittam avrittam chaiva yogina prayata yantitam kalam vakshami bharatarshava. So, best among the Bharatas. So he is referring this to Arjuna. O Arjun, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world after giving up this body, the yogi does or does not come back. So either he gets rebirth again or he does not get rebirth again, punarjanma, in this material world. But he's also, at this point, he's not mentioning too much about the devotee or bhakti. He's talking about people who follow all the Vedic scriptural injunctions and do their, either they are karmis, so do their activities according to the rules and regulations given in the scriptures on the Vedic rules, or dhyana yogis, or the jnana yogis, jnanis. So jnani who are speculating according to their mental capacity. So all these are mentioned here. So let's read this 24th verse. So in next 3 verses, he describes the destination of people, what happens to them, which are in different consciousness, and what happens to them depending on the time when they leave this body. And those paths are particularly described in 2 categories. One is the path of light, or one who leaves this body, one who dies in the timing of death, light, and one is path of darkness, or andhakara sabad. So this one he is describing about path of light. So let's recite the verse. Agnir jyotirah shukla
Agnir Shukla
Shanmasa uttarayanam
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Tatra prayata gachanti
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Brahma Brahma vido jana
Brahma Vido Jana
Agnir jyotirah shukla
Agnir Shukla
Shanmasa uttarayanam
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Tatra prayata gachanti
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Brahma Brahma vido jana.
Brahma Vido Jana.
Okay, let's take a couple of recitations about Kiran Prabhu. You want to recite?
Yes. Agni Jyotirah Shukla
Agni Jyotirah Shukla
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Brahma Brahma Vido Jana.
Brahma Vido Jana.
Chandrakant Prabhu, you want to?
Agni Jyotirah Shukla
Agnir Jyotirah
Agni
Shukla
Jyotirah Shukla
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Shanmasa Uttarayanam
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Tatra Prayata Gachanti
Brahma Vido Jana.
Brahma Vido Jana. Thank you, Chandrakant Prabhu. So, word for word translation or synonyms. Agni means fire. Jyoti means light. Aha means day. Shukla means the white fortnight or Shukla Paksha. That's what just ended now on Purnima day, and after Purnima starts Krishna Paksha. Shat Masaha, the 6 months. Uttara Ayanam, when the sun passes on the northern hemisphere or northern side of the earth. Tatra means there. Prayata means those who pass away, who leave this body. Gachanti means go. Brahma means to the absolute. Brahmavid means who knows the absolute. Janaha means persons. So translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of the waxing moon, or during the 6 months when sun travels in the north. So there are different categories or different times that are given here when one leaves this body. Person who is following the Vedic rules and regulations, and he leaves this body at this particular times. So that is the time during day, basically it has to be daytime, during the influence of fiery god Agni, then in the light, then during the fortnight of waxing moon, that is Shukla Paksha, and during the Uttarayana. So at this time, what happens to him? He attains the Brahman, or he gets to the Brahma Jyoti. He attains the liberation in the effulgence of Krishna, that is called Brahma Jyoti. So he gets liberated in one way, that is called Saidja Mukti also. There are 5 kinds of liberation mentioned in our Shastra. So he gets liberation and he doesn't come back immediately. So let's read the purport, and we can actually read 3 verses and discuss those all 3 together. How about Sunil Prabhu, you want to read?
When fire, light, day, and the fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. At the time of death, the mind carries one on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. Others have no control. If by accident they leave at an auspicious moment, then they will not return to the cycle of birth and death. But otherwise, there is every possibility that they will have to return. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or inauspicious moment, by accident or arrangement.
Thank you, Sunil Prabhu. So the descriptions here given, first thing Prabhupada mentions that for everything here in this material world, it is Agni or light or day or fortnight or moon or everything, there is a presiding deity. Just like when I turn on the light in my room and I see the light turning or the fan running, so that means there is energy supplied from the electricity board. But that is not something that is happening automatically. There is a full department working to make that happen. And there is somebody who is leading that whole department, who is a kind of presiding person who is running the show, and under his control everything is working, and he is making sure that everybody is getting electricity and that is being supplied properly. In the same manner, in this all universal affairs, we learn that all these devatas, the so-called 33 crore devatas, they are kind of department heads for each different department. So in the same manner, fire, there are multiple different fire gods, Agni devatas, and they have different functions. So the fire god, there is a sun god. The current sun god who is acquiring that position is called, his name is Vivaswan. And his son is our current Manu, Vaivaswata Manu. Then moon or Soma, or so all these departments, there are presiding deities. So when a person who passes away, particularly at this time, so they make the passage, they have made the arrangement so that that person can attain the Brahma Jyoti, or the liberation in the Brahma Jyoti. So, and at the time of death, the mind is what carries us to the new body. So that is a differentiation that is given actually in the 15th chapter. There is a description. Shariram yadvapnoti yachapyutkramutishvara gruhitoitani sanyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Kshotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam cha adhishthaya manaschaya vishayan upasevate. So how does a soul get carried to different body? That just like vayurgandhani vashayat, just like air carries aroma, gandha, from one place to another place. Even there is the flower arrangement in some place of the room, but I am sitting here. The air carries that aroma to me. I don't see it, I don't realize it, but I can experience that. So in the same manner, in the 15th chapter, it is said that the soul is carried by its subtle body. Subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Mana, buddhi, ahankar. So this subtle body carries the soul based on the consciousness to different gross body. Gross body is the physical body that is made up of 5 gross or sthul elements that are earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then it gets another type of kshotram, chakshu, sparshanam cha, rasanam, ghranam evacha. So it gets different types of hearing sense, kshotram, chakshu, different types of eye or seeing sense. Rasanam means tasting sense. Ghranam means smelling. And sparsham. So all these senses, adhishthaya manaschaya, and they are surrounded around the man, because man is the what that is carrying us to that specific body, so that I can enjoy or suffer the results of my karma and according to my desires also. So I may get a different dog body or cat body or elephant body or fish body or devata body or a krimi or worm body based on that. And all these senses are developed accordingly. So that's what, based on our consciousness. But a person who dies in this particular specific times, like Agnir Jyotiraha Shuklama, so one who in the fire or in the influence of fiery god or light or day or at auspicious time of the day or during the Uttarayan, so then that person gets liberated, kind of liberated, because he doesn't get to the spiritual world called Vaikuntha planets, where Krishna or his different planetary portions live in the Vishnu Murti or other incarnations, but he gets merged into the Brahma Jyoti, that is the effulgence of the Lord. That is called Sayujya Mukti. So he doesn't come back again. So let's read this. But in the end, Prabhupada mentions that, but a Krishna conscious devotee does not aspire for him. So we'll come back to that. There is a very beautiful verse that Kapila Muni explains to his mother Devavati, that a devotee doesn't aspire for any of the 5 liberations. So let's read the next verse. What happens to person who dies in the opposite timings from this? So let's recite. Dhumo ratristatha Krishna.
Dhumo ratristatha Krishna.
Shanmasa dakshinayanam.
Shanmasa dakshinayanam.
Tatra chandramasam jyotir.
Tatra chandramasam jyotir.
Yogi prapya nivartate.
Yogi prapya nivartate.
Dhumo ratristatha Krishna.
Dhumo ratristatha Krishna.
Shanmasa dakshinayanam.
Shanmasa dakshinayanam.
Tatra chandramasam jyotir.
Tatra chandramasam jyotir.
Yogi prapya nivartate.
Yogi prapya nivartate.
Let's take a couple of recitations. Rajesh Prabhu, you want to recite?
Dhumo ratristadha Krishna
Dhumo ratristatha Krishna.
Sanmasa dakshinayanam
Shanmasa dakshinayanam.
Tatra chandramasam jyotir
Tatra chandramasam jyotir.
Yogi prapya nivartate.
Yogi
prapya
prapya nivartate.
Thank you, Prabhu. Jitu Prabhu, are you able to recite?
धमो रात्रि तथा कृष्ण
धूमो
तथा
रात्रिस्तथा
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
सन्मासा दक्षिणायां
षण्मासा
सन्मासादक्षिणायनं
दक्षिणायनम्
तत्र कान्द्रमसं ज्योतिर्योगी
तत्र
तत्र चान्द्रमसं
चान्द्रमसं
ज्योतिर्
प्रापया निवार्ते
योगी
योगी
प्राप्य
प्राप्य
निवर्तते.
निवर्तते. Thank you very much, Mataji. Mhm. So, word for word meaning: Dhuma means smoke, Ratri means night, Tatha means also, Krishna means the fortnight of dark moon or Krishna Paksha, what we say. Shanmasa means the 6 months of Dakshinayanam, when the sun passes on the southern side. Tatra means there, Chandramasam, the moon planet, Jyoti means the light, Yogi means the mystic, Praptya means achieving, Nivartate comes back. Translation: the mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of waning moon, or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but comes comes back. So the first verse what we read, those are applicable for the yogis who are particularly jnana yogis and dhyana yogis, or who are meditating, or who are mental speculators. And this word is for particularly karmis. Karmi means one who is working very hard for attaining some success and enjoyment. So the higher enjoyment they can think of beyond this material world is basically going to Swargaloka. So Swargaloka is also sometimes referred as Chandraloka. So Swargaloka, it is said that there is people can live up to 10,000 of years, and then they enjoy the life to the fullest, and they are very powerful, and the enjoyment quality there, or the degree of enjoyment there, is much higher than what we can think of in this earthly planet. But they come back again. So we'll read this in the 8th chapter. Kshine punye marta lokam vishanti. When their punya is over, then they have to come back again in this earthly planet. So that's what it says here. This karmis, even though they act piously and they follow all the rules and regulations, but when they die in this particular time, and karmis who will die at these timings, they go to the moon planet or the Swargaloka, but they come back again. So let's read the purport. Chandrakant Prabhu, thank you.
In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attend to the moon at death. These elevated souls live on the moon for about 10,000 years by demigod calculations and enjoy life by drinking somarasa. They eventually return to earth. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings, though they may not be pursued by the gross senses.
So so the karmis who are working very hard, and that's what we are, the enjoyment level we always think of based on our intelligence or the development of consciousness. So for somebody who is really poor, for them the enjoyment will be at a certain degree. Means even getting a full meal or getting a very nice meal can be enjoyment for them. He'll work very hard for that. But for somebody who is aspiring to get better enjoyment, like a vacation in other country or some nice place, then he will work hard and earn money for that and work really hard for that enjoyment. Or somebody who is aspiring higher enjoyment, then they will follow rules and regulations, but they will study the scriptures so that they can try to attain Swargaloka. So why? Because they want to get better enjoyment than what they can even attain here. So all those activities are called karma kanda. So, and our Vedic literature is full of, most of it is the karma kanda activities. So they will
Yes.
work in all those karma kanda activities, perform all the sacrifices, yajnas, worship different devatas and all that. But why? Because they want to go to Swargaloka. And Swargaloka, what happens to them? That's what it is said here. So a person who dies in this particular timing, that during the smoke at the night, or in the Krishna Paksha, or during Dakshinayan, so they go to Swargaloka, but they come back again eventually. So they come back when their pious activities, or the balance of pious activities is over. They come back again, and again they have to go through the whole karma cycle. That also they are burning karma, but that their enjoyment. Now the Soma Rasa, Soma word comes from Chandra. Soma means Chandra. So this is
Chandra.
something heavenly drink, that is, we think that by drinking liquor here we go to heaven for some time, and that's why people think that, oh, that is what is called Soma Rasa. That is nothing to do with that Soma Rasa. So Soma Rasa, yeah. So Soma Rasa is heavenly drink. That is, they get, the name itself comes from Soma or Chandra, so which is heavenly drink. And that, so they, even the devatas, the question, I think a long time back, somebody had asked that, what is wrong with drinking? Because devatas also drink Soma Rasa. So devatas drink, but they are also bound by all karmic reactions. They only thing is they got higher position based on their pious activities. So drinking Soma Rasa is not necessarily a good thing. But they are given.
Soma Rasa, as we see it, is not exactly the same as liquor. It is
not.
It is not intoxicating in that sense.
It is in a way, but it is
In a
also
different,
just like you get intoxicated by your power, or your strength, or your
bhakti,
position,
or whatever, but
or your
positive
money.
intoxication.
Yeah. And so by drinking Soma Rasa, you get strength to enjoy more, because that's what the purpose you went to Swargaloka, right? So you work so hard. So because you worked hard, there is an arrangement that is given that you can do certain things, and you are given more facilities. Just like in any corporation or government job also, as you grow in a position, maybe a person who is, say, vice president or president of a company, he may get a car, but a normal worker or the engineer from that company, he may not.
Correct.
Because he attained that position based on his qualification and certain work he did. In the same manner, these devatas attain that position, or one who goes to Swargaloka, they attain that position based on the yajna or karmic, the activities they have performed, and then the yajna they have performed, and they are qualified for that. But that is not considered really a goal of life or the higher purpose of life, because that's what it says here, that they come back again, even if they go there, and so-called enjoyment that they get to experience there, but they have to come back again in this Bhuloka. So that's what this description is, and this is the destination typically for the karmis. Karmi means one who is working very hard, passionately for enjoyment and sense gratification. So let's read one more verse, and then all together we can discuss. Shukla Krishne gati hete,
Shukla Krishne gati hete,
Jagata Shashvate mate,
Jagata Shashvate mate,
Ekaya Yatyanavrittim,
Ekaya Yatyanavrittim,
Anyaya Vartate Punah.
Anyaya Vartate Punah.
Now here this ma is actually in two places. First ma is that half ma, what we call as Vyanjan, and is merged into that. So Anyaya Vartate Punah. Shukla Krishne gati hete,
Shukla Krishne gati hete,
Jagata Shashvate Mate
जगत
Jagata
शाश्वते
Shashvate
मते
Mate.
Ekaya Yatyanavruttim
एकया यात्यनावृत्तिं
Anyaya Vartate Punaha.
अन्यया
Ananya
वर्तते
Vartate.
पुनः.
Okay, so let's recite this. Sunil Prabhu, you want to recite?
शुक्ल कृष्णे गतीयेते
शुक्ल कृष्णे गति हेते
जगता शाश्वते मते
जगत
Jagata
शाश्वते
Shashvate
मते
Mate.
एकया यात नित्य एकया यात्यनवृत्ति
Ekaya
एकया
Yatyanavruttim
यात्यनावृत्तिं
एकया एकया
Ekaya Yatyana.
Ekaya Yati Anavrittim. तो याति
एकया
अनावृत्तिम
याति
जोड़ लेते याति
अनावृत्ति
अनावृत्तिम
ओके एकया यात्य अनावृत्तिम
एकया
एकया
यात्यनावृत्तिम
यात्यनावृत्तिं
अन्वयावर्तते पुनः
अन्यया
अन्यया
वर्तते
वर्तते पुनः
शुक्ल कृष्णे गति होते
शुक्ल कृष्णे गति हेते
जगतः शाश्वते मते
जगत
जगतः
शाश्वते
शाश्वते
मते
एकया यान्त्यना वृत्तिम्
एकया
एकया
यात्यनावृत्तिम
यात्यनावृत्तिं
मन्याया वर्तते पुनः
अन्यया
अन्यया वर्तते
वर्तते
पुनः.
पुनः. Thank you, Jithu Prabhu. So synonyms or word for word translation. Shukla means light. Krishna means that and darkness. Gati means ways of passing. He means certainly. Ete means these two. Jagatha means of the material world. Shashvate means of the Vedas. Mate means in the opinion. Ekaya by one. Yati goes. Anavrittim to no return. When he goes, he does not return. Anavritti. And Anyaya by the other path or by the other way. Avartate, he comes back. Punaha, again. So these in previous two verses, two paths are given. One is path of light and one is path of darkness. So that's what he is describing here. Shukla Krishna Gati. Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati means path of light and path of darkness. Yeah, Jagate Shashvate Mate. These are described in the Vedic literature, which are Shashvat, that one who passes in the one who destination, one who passes in the light and one who darkness, one who passes in the darkness. Ekaya, the one's destination is Yati Anavrittim. He does not come back. And Anyaya, the other path is of return. Avartate Puna. He comes back again to this material world. So the short purport here, Kiran Prabhu, you want to read the purport?
The same description of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baladeva Vidyabhushanam from the
Chandogya.
Chandra Yoga Upanishad. Those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not surrender to Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So again, so there are two paths we learned today. One is path of light and one is path of darkness. And these paths are for the destination of the living entity, soul, when he leaves this body at a specific time. So if it is a path, he leaves the body at the time when the path is suitable for path of light. And when he leaves the body, when the timing is for the paths that is in darkness, his destinations are different. And these destinations are for a person who has followed all the rules and regulations and lived a pious life. So one who leaves the body in the light, then he merges into, he gets a Sayujya Mukti. So this mukti, let's go to third canto where Kapila Muni describes this mukti, and then he mentions that the devotee actually does not aspire for any of these muktis. So there are 5 types of muktis: Salokya, Samitya, Sashti, Sarupyaikatvam Apyuta, Diyamanam Nagrannati, Vinamat Sevanam Jana. Third canto, 29th chapter, 29. Yeah. So Kapil Muni, when he is explaining the Sankhya philosophy to his mother Devahuti, and Kapil Muni is nothing but Krishna himself. He incarnated as a son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti is the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. So he says, Salokya Sashti Samitya Sarupyaikatvam Apyuta Diyamanam Nagrannanti Vinamat Sevanam Jana. So he first describes the 5 different types of muktis. So 5 different types of muktis are what? Salokya means Loka. Loka means planetary system. Means living in the same planetary system as Lord Shri Krishna or his plenary expansions. So basically living in Vaikuntha planet. Sashti means having same opulence or Aishwarya like Bhagavan. So getting the same opulence or Aishwarya. Samipya being personal associate. Kayam Samipa Bhagavantacha Rana Rasa. Just like Arjuna did. So Arjuna is his eternal associate. He is always with Krishna. Then Sarupya means getting the same rupa or form as Bhagavan or Lord Shri Krishna. Just like if he is living in the Vaikuntha planets, he will get a 4-handed form. So those are called Vishnu Dutas. And then there are many places there are different descriptions of Vishnu Dutas. I think one we read when the Vishnu Dutas came to pick Dhruva Maharaj in the plane to take him to the Vaikuntha planet. Our Vishnu Dutas also came to pick to stop Yamadutas when they came to pick Ajamil. So there are multiple places where Vishnu Dutas. So Vishnu Dutas are nothing but the living entities who got liberation with the same bodily features as Krishna. And Ekatvam are also called as Sayujya. So Sayujya means somebody who wants to merge into God because they are impersonal, because they cannot accept God as a person and they denounce Krishna as God. They do not accept, they deride Krishna as God. They think that his whole Brahman is God and they want to merge into God because they think that I am God, and when I am free, I get free from this material entanglement, I become God and I merge into God. So that type of liberation they want, they get this Ekatvam or Sayujya Mukti. And that's the Mukti what we read when it says, Krishna says that Agnir Jyotirah Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayana Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vid Ojana. So that Brahma Jyoti effulgence merging into Brahma Jyoti is called Sayujya Mukti or the Ekatvam. But Krishna, what he's saying that Diyamanam na grannati, even though I give my devotees who are my bhakta, even though I give them this mukti, na grannati, they do not want it, they don't accept it. When vina mat sevanam, if they don't have my seva or my bhakti available in that position. Jana, those devotees, the pure devotees. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation. Salokya, Sashti, Samipya, Sarupya, or Ekatva. Even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, here in the translation, the last line does not come. Vinamat Sevanam. If that place where they accept the liberation only if, because their first interest is to serve God, bhakti. Liberation is not their goal. So they don't want even mukti, any kind of mukti. Only if in that mukti they are able to serve Krishna, then they accept it. Vina mat sevanam jana diyamanam na grihnati. So that's the different types of liberation we were talking about. So, and actually in Bhagavatam, when I was thinking of one more liberation, what happens, what is the destination of person who get that liberation or Brahmajyoti? He has to come back again after a long time, because unfortunately, in the 10th canto, I think 2nd chapter, Yannera Vindaksha Vimuktamanina Stvayasta Bhavat. When Krishna is in the womb of Devaki, in the prison house of Kamsa, all the devatas, they come to pray Krishna, because they know, oh, our Supreme Lord is going to appear in this material world. So they all come and then they offer prayers to Sri Krishna when he is in the mother Devaki's womb. And that's when Brahmaji and other personalities, they offer a prayer which they mention that the person who think of they got liberated. Okay. So they also actually fall down again, because their consciousness is still not purified, because they have no attraction to serve your lotus feet or to engage in your bhakti. So they, even from that liberation in Brahmajyoti, they fall down to this material world, and then they engage in some material humanitarian activities, or building schools, or feeding the poor, or building hospitals, because the liberation that they get, the Sayujya or Ekatva Mukti that they get, there is no happiness, there is no, even though it is eternity there, but there is no bliss in that. And the nature of soul is to find happiness. And that's why we are working so hard here. We are trying to find happiness, and we are searching in a wrong place, because we are not finding the real Brahma Sukha that we are aspiring for. We are looking for that happiness in material things, that, oh, I go to that restaurant and eat that food and I'll get some happiness. Or, oh, if I go for vacation to certain place and I'll get that happiness. Or I build a big palace for myself and live with my family and I'll get my happiness. Or I get a very nice car and then I'll get happiness. That's where we are looking for happiness, in the wrong place. Because that is our nature. The symptom of soul, or the nature of soul, is to look for happiness. But even after getting that Sayujya Mukti or Ekatva Mukti, and they merging into the Brahma Jyoti, they don't get happiness, and they have to fall down again. And that's what here Brahmaji and the Devatas, they are worshipping. They says that Ye anne aravindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavat avishuddha buddhaya aruyya kruchena parampadam tata patanti adha. They fall down again, anadrucha yushmadangraya, because they have not developed your angraya, means your lotus feet, your love for your serving your lotus feet. They vimukta manina, te swatala liberated samastat, but tvai asta bhavat swabhavat avishuddha buddhaya, their consciousness is still not purified. So the translation here it goes, and actually the quote here is given. Someone may say that aside from devotees who always seek shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, there are those who are not devotees, not engaged in bhakti, but have accepted process of attaining salvation or getting mukti. So they are jnanis or dhyana yogis or jnana yogis, or those, they are aspiring for liberation, but they don't engage in bhakti of Krishna. What happens to them? And the answer in this question, Lord Brahma and other demigods, they worship, and they say, Ye anne aravindaksha, aravinda aksha, aravinda is lotus, aksha is eyed. So they are referring to Krishna as aravindaksha. O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated. They may think after attaining that Brahma liberation as liberated. their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. So that mukti, the Sayujya mukti, that a devotee never ever aspires for. Actually, he considers that as a hellish. Kaivalyam narakayate. Kaivalya means mukti, narakayate. Tridashapura akasha pushpayate. Prabodhananda Saraswati said. So that type of mukti, the Sayujya mukti or ekatva, they consider as hellish because they don't get the association or service of Bhagwan there. And anything or any place where they don't get the opportunity to serve Bhagwan Krishna or do devotional service or bhakti of him, that place is for them naraka. Otherwise, Vishwam Purna Sukhayati. Wherever there is bhakti opportunity available, it doesn't matter wherever they go, in hellish or mukti or here earthly planet, it doesn't matter for them, because for them that is the goal of their life. So they are not worried about any of this type of mukti, particularly the Sayujya mukti or ekatva mukti. And I don't know how much time do we have. Actually, the next verse explains that. Do we want to do this verse, what we talked? Do we want to do one more verse or just stop here then?
चालेल मला वाटतं अजून एक वर्स.
Okay, read this. We already discussed this mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's read this verse. Naite sruti partha janan.
नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन.
Yogi muhyati kaschana.
योगी मुह्यति कश्चन.
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
Yoga yukto bhavarjuna.
योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन.
Naite sruti partha janan.
नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन.
Yogi muhyati kaschana.
योगी मुह्यति कश्चन.
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
Yoga yukto bhavarjuna.
योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead, Chandrakant Prabhu again?
Okay. नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन.
Naite sruti partha janan.
योगी मुह्यति कश्चन.
Yogi muhyati kaschana.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu.
योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन.
Yoga yukto bhavarjuna. Kiran Prabhu.
Yeah. Naite Shruti Partha Janan
नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन.
Yogi Muhyati Kachana
योगी मुह्यति कश्चन.
Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna.
योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So the word for word translation is na means never. Ete means these two, the two paths what we just learned. Shruti means different paths. Partha, O son of Pratha. Janan means even if he knows. Yogi means the devotee of the Lord. Muhyati is bewildered. Kaschana, any. Tasmat means therefore. Sarveshu kaleshu, all the time, always. Yoga yuktaha is the key word. Engage in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord. Bhakti. Bhava means just become. Arjuna, O Arjuna. The translation. Although the devotee knows these two paths, O Arjun, they are never bewildered. Muhyati. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. Yoga Yukta. Become Yoga Yukta. Be always fixed in bhakti. Be always fixed in devotion. Because, and that's what we talked about. The devotee of the Lord, he is not aspiring for anything other than his service. He is always happy just serving Bhagwan or Lord Shri Krishna or Lord Ramchandra or Narsingadev in any of his form. And so they don't care when they go. They go in the path of light or they go in the path of darkness. It doesn't matter for them. Because so that's why they are never bewildered. They are not looking for, oh, I should die at this time, or it doesn't matter for them. And that's why he's saying, therefore, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, therefore, hey Arjuna, all the time, yoga yukta bhava. Become yoga yukta, become devotee of me, become always engaged in my bhakti. So let's read the purport. Rajesh Anantaraman Prabhu, you didn't read, right? Yeah.
Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by the different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. A devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. The devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness, and chant Hare Krishna. He should know that concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always dovetailed in his service. And this will make one's path into the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and direct. The word Yoga Yukta is especially significant in this verse. The one who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness in all his activities. Sri Rupa Goswami advises, Anasa Anasakyasa Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjata. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptors because he knows that his passage to the Supreme Abode is guaranteed by devotional service.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Because he knows that last sentence is,
Yes.
he knows that his passage to the Supreme is guaranteed just by devotional service. Because he surrenders completely to Krishna and he gives full control of his life in Krishna's hands.
Correct.
And every activity he does is for Krishna's satisfaction. And that's why he's not worried, when will I die, what will happen, because he depends completely on Krishna. And that's why Krishna says, actually, I was thinking of the verse in 9th chapter, 22nd verse, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham.
LIC.
Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Yeah, so one who completely surrenders unto me and always thinks of me and engages in my devotional service, Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham. And he says, Aham, I personally. I take care of him personally, not my energy or my agent or nobody. Krishna says that I take care of him. Aham. Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham. So when Krishna himself takes care of you, you don't have to worry about anything. That's the best insurance policy you have. Yeah, life insurance, LIC, they use this quote from BhagavadGita, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. So, very beautiful. So, what we learned here, Krishna first elaborated the two different paths and their destinations when one leaves the body in darkness or versus light, and the one who lives in darkness goes to Swarga Loka, but he has to come back again quicker. The one who lives in the light means Uttarayan, Agni, day, or so the path of light, he goes and emerges in the Brahma Jyoti. So he gets the so-called liberation. which a devotee never aspires for. But even after getting that liberation after a long time, so he kind of get liberated, but because there is no happiness or sukh in that, he falls down again. He comes back again, and then he tries to find sukh here again. But unless he engages in Krishna's bhakti, he doesn't get that sukh. So here Krishna is explaining the devotee knows, he's aware of these two paths. Even though he knows these two paths, he doesn't care for it. He's not disturbed by this path. Oh, will I die in darkness or will I die in light? So the question sometimes comes that how about Bhishma Deva then? Bhishma Deva, because he has boon from his father Shantanu, that he had Ichchamaran, that he can decide when he can die. So even though he was lying on the bed of arrows after the Kurukshetra war, he did not leave his body. And then he was waiting for Uttarayan to start because he was aware of this. So his case is different because he was, of course, he was a staunch devotee of Krishna. And he was waiting for a right moment, but that right moment was planned so that Yudhishthir Maharaj can get instructions from him. And when Yudhishthir gets instructions from him how to rule the king, how to be a best king, and how to serve his praja by serving them and engaging in them in Krishna's service. The best Raja is one who engages his praja in devotional service. And by that, he also is benefited because it is in the Vedic literature, it is said, a king always gets 1/6 of the punya and 1/6 of the papa of his praja. He is liable to get that 1/6. So if he makes his praja pious and he makes them devotee, he gets the piety of them, whatever they have done, the 1/6 of amount of that praja is doing punya, he gets that. And the same way, if his praja is engaged in all impious activities, all abominable activities, all sinful activities, he is liable to get 1/6 of the papa. So he is liable. So that's why king has a big responsibility, because whatever, depending on what praja does, he also gets his portion of that. And then there are two types of Prabhupada quotes a verse here, beautiful verses. There are two sets of verses actually. So when a sannyasa, so when we talk about sannyasa is actually one who is not working for sense gratification, one who is not aspiring or lamenting for anything. That's the definition of sannyasa is given in the 5th chapter. Krishna says, na dveshti na kankshati. Neya sanitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati. One who does not hate anything or does not aspire anything. Dveshti, ekhadya goshtita dvesha karna. So he doesn't hate anything as well as he doesn't kankshati. He doesn't aspire for anything. That person is considered nitya sannyasi. And then he says, even sometimes the sannyasi, materialistic sannyasi, they think that, oh, I have given up all the material things, so the sannyas, there are two kinds of sannyasas that Rupa Goswami explains. One is yukta vairagya, so that's what here mentioned here, and one is called falgu. Falgu means the lower class of, or the false vairagya. So false vairagya is when somebody rejects all the material things, thinking that they are material things. Just like, oh, this is really bad. I don't want to indulge into some work, or I want to give up my job, or I don't want laptop. I don't want to take these material things. All these material things, thinking that everything is material, that kind of vairagya is called falgu vairagya, or the lower class of vairagya. The verse that Rupa Goswami writes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu kathyate. Prapanchikataya buddhya, one who is thinking in his mind of prapancha, who is engaged in his mind of all the material activities, but harisambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago. But even though, because this material energy is also creation of Hari. We learned that in 7th chapter, right? Bhumiraponalo vayu khammano buddhurevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtada. So everything is energy of Krishna. So he rejects Hari without knowing the relationship of Krishna and the material energy. He rejects everything. Why? Mumukshubi, because he's aspiring for that liberation. The liberation what we were talking about in Brahman, merging in the Brahman or Saidja Mukti. Mumukshubi parityago, to parityag karto, that vairagya is called Falgu vairagya, or the lower class of vairagya, or kind of false or pseudo vairagya, Prabhupada sometimes. But a person who is anasakta, so anasaktasya vishayan yatharam upayunjataha. He is not asakta to Vishaya. Vishaya means all the sense objects, even the material energy and everything, which I get attracted to. So he is anasakta Vishayan, but Yatharam Upayunjata. He uses those appropriately for the service of Krishna.
Yeah.
He engages those material things in Krishna's service, knowing that it is Krishna's energy and I should engage it in Krishna's service, not for my enjoyment, but for Krishna's service. So, anasaktasya vishayan yatharam upayunjata nirbande Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So, the yukta vairagya or the real renunciation is when not attached to material things, but not rejecting it, accepting it for Krishna's service. Then that vairagya is called yukta vairagya. That is the real vairagya. And so the devotee is always in that mode, and that's why he is not attached to, he doesn't have anything any attachment in the material, even though he is living in this material world and doing from external perspective all the material activities, but he is not attached to anything. So he is the real vairagi or sannyasi. Actually, this yoga yukta word again comes in that context probably. Let me see, in the 5th chapter. Yoga yukta, yeah. Sannyaasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum yogata yoga yukta munir brahma nachirena adigachati. So sannyasa. So here merely renouncing, sannyas means renouncing the activities, work, whatever we are doing, or material things, anything that is material. If I just reject, oh, this is material, I want to stay away from this, I don't have to anything to do with this. Sannyasastu mahabaho, but ayogataha. This is the Sannyasastu mahabaho ayogata. What does they do? Ayogata means not engaging in devotional service or not engaging that in Krishna service. Dukkham aptum. He attains dukkha. Because actually his mind is thinking of that. That actually that Falgu Vairagya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita also says that as Markata Vairagya. Markata means it's like a monkey. So monkey, these vairagis or these sannyasis, they go to forest. So just like, but monkeys also live in forest. So these sannyasis, they have very minimum necessities. So they live just with a lion cloth and they give up everything that is material, go to forest and live in the forest and give up all the attachment to the material things and material activities. So monkeys are also living in the forest. They have bare minimum necessities. They eat fruit. They don't even need clothes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compares those sannyasis with monkeys because a monkey is said to have, in his mind, he has 100 wives. In the same manner, those sannyasis, even though they reject everything, not understanding that their relationship with the material activities and material things with Krishna, even though they go to forest, in their mind, they are always thinking of money and women. And if they are thinking of money and women, and even if they do go to forest with saffron clothes, that sannyas is considered as Falgu Vairagya or Markata Vairagya. And that sannyas, actually, they don't even get happiness because they are still aspiring for that in their mind, dukkhamaptum. Their life is actually miserable. They make a show of sannyas, but their life is miserable because they in the mind they want to enjoy this, but they have rejected this forcefully. Then what should one do? Yoga yukta, one who is devotee. Yoga yukta muni. Muni means a thoughtful person. A thoughtful person who engages in devotional service of the Lord. He attains Brahma adhigacchati. And how? When? Na chirena. Chira manje long time. After a long time. Na chirena means with a short time. So, but a thoughtful person who engages in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. Na chirena. So, I thought of Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta also came here. In today's verse, what we read? Yoga Yukta. Tasmat. So, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. All the time, what should you become? Become Yoga Yukta. So, that's Krishna. Krishna is telling Arjuna that don't worry about this. My devotees, they don't worry about any of this path. They don't care when they die. And that's why Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, hey Arjuna, become Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta Bhava. So I'll stop there. We actually read 4 verses today. That's interesting. But all those 4 were in the same context. So any thoughts or reflections, Prabhuji's? Nice verses today. Any reflections or any takeaway points from today's?
टेकअवे पॉइंट मागे एकदा डिस्कस झालं होतं त्याला उत्तरायण आणि दक्षिणायन है ना आणि त्यात हा पॉइंट पण डिस्कस झाला होता त्याला की इफ यू आर इन द डिवोशनल सर्व्हिस continuously, then you should not be worried about what time, what day, what part it becomes the last day of your life.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Sunil Prabhu.
In fact, yes, he raised the right point. You know, there is a lot of this Bhishma story of waiting for Uttarayana. Actually, there are many who propound the theory that Uttarayana means automatic Swarga. But ते सगळ्यांसाठी नसतं. I mean, if you are a Mahapapi, obviously whether it is Uttarayana, Dakshinayana doesn't make any sense. So these kind of things, actually, I don't know. Even when somebody passes away, these are certain doshas that have to be rectified. Like if it was Krishna Paksha, like if it was Dakshinayana, or in the night. You know, so all these things. I realized that these are considered doshas when my mother passed away. She passed away after 6 in the morning. It was Shukla Paksha and it was Uttarayana. So when I was telling the Panditji about what time and all those, so he said, iska bhi dosh nahi, uska bhi dosh nahi, kind of, you know. That is when I realized that these are seen as doshas.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because it completely is also dependent. It may be slightly inferior in the sense that you go in Uttarayanam, you have to come back. So such preconditions. But there is nothing really bad about either of these if the person is a bhakta. And for a papi, either of these is not beneficial, because Uttarayan मध्ये गेला म्हणून काय तो परत येणार नाही असं नाही. He will come back to drink more in the next Janma. So,
yeah.
Which is actually this part of today's kind of educated me more in these things. And it makes it so clear that, you know, these are 2 paths. Which way you go, you don't worry. Because that is not determined by you. जायचं वेळ तुझ्या हातात नाहीये. So actually, unnecessarily worrying about these doesn't make any sense. You do your job to Krishna and he will take care.
Yeah, he himself guarantees it. Yogakshemam vahamyaham.
Correct.
And many places, that's just the one place, but in other places also he says the same thing.
विष्णू सहस्रनाम मध्ये पण येतं ना,
Mhm.
while at the end, towards the end, even in the Vishnu Sahasranama it comes.
Mhm.
So Bhishma has said it in front of Krishna.
So imagine we are talking about how we can think of Krishna at the time of death, and how great devotee Bhishma must be, that Krishna himself
Yes.
in person standing in front of him when he's leaving his body, and he is offering beautiful prayers in the form of Vishnu Sahasranam, and he's glorifying Krishna in all different modes. So thank you, Rajesh Prabhu. Any
Thank you.
additional thoughts, Kiran Prabhu, Chandrakant Prabhu, Jitu Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhuji, it was very good that we read all 4 verses together and then it clarified many things. पहिले तर म्हणजे आपल्या सगळ्यांना कोणालाही तुम्ही विचाराल अजूनही तर काय तुम्हाला एव्हरीबडी वॉन्ट्स मुक्ती. सो वी ऑलवेज टेंड टू आस्क फॉर दॅट मुक्ती, बट हिअर that is clarified very well in this की मुक्तीच पाहिजे असं नाहीये बेसिकली. So you always want to be with as a devotee to the Krishna. That is more important. And then it automatically takes care of everything. थोडस म्हणजे पहिल्यापासूनच्या वर्स बघितलं तर सुरुवातीला म्हणजे आय डोंट रिमेंबर नंबर ऑफ वर्स कुठली ते मला एवढं नाही सांगता येणार, पण आपल्या डिस्कशन मध्ये मागे आपण म्हटलं होतं की ज्या वेळेला आपण आत्मा काय आहे वगैरे अगदी एकदम सुरुवातीला त्याच्यामध्ये आपण आत्मा काय आहे वगैरे याच्यामध्ये बोलत होतो की त्यावेळेला त्याच्यावरती पण थोडंसं डिस्कशन झालं होतं की मुक्ती मिळायला पाहिजे. इफ वी रिमेन आपण जेवढ्या अपेक्षा ठेवू आणि जेवढे आपल्या अतृप्त इच्छा असतील तर वी अगेन फॉल बॅक इन टू द सेम सायकल ऑफ बर्थ अँड डेथ. आणि त्याच्यामधनं ते अजून आपण यातनातूनच जातो रादर दॅन म्हणजे आपल्याला खरी मुक्ती. आणि त्यावेळेला आपण म्हटलं होतं की मुक्ती मिळायला पाहिजे असं. नाव दिस इज समथिंग फर्दर क्लॅरिफाईंग की फक्त मुक्तीच नाही तर यू हॅव टू बी ऑलवेज इन डिवोशन ऑफ लॉर्ड अँड इट टेक्स केअर ऑफ एव्हरीथिंग. So this was really very nice, clarified all those doubts. आणि अजून एक असं वाटलं की म्हणजे आपण सुरुवातीला म्हणजे फार जन्मापासून या आपण काय करायला पाहिजे, आपण कसं राहायला पाहिजे, हाऊ वी शुड बी ऑलवेज डिवोटेड टू द लॉर्ड, इन भक्ती कशी करायला पाहिजे, ऑल दोज थिंग्स. ब्राह्मण कसं म्हणजे नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ बर्थ बाय बर्थ बट आपलं वागणं बोलणं आणि आपले आचार कसे असायला पाहिजे, दॅट ऑल्सो इज डिस्क्राइब्ड ॲट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ. हाऊ what we should be thinking, that is also in the earlier verses it is mentioned. Now after the death what can happen, that is also mentioned. So it is covering the entire cycle. It was very nice, very enriching.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, that's a very important point actually, because in general we don't even know that there is something, because I remember in the very beginning when we started at the COVID time, so the thought was, okay, what is our goal? So our goal is to get to Swargaloka, मेल्यावर स्वर्ग मिळाला पाहिजे. मग त्यानंतर त्याच्यापेक्षा मोठं काय, तर आपल्या बुद्धीप्रमाणे आपण म्हणतो मुक्ती मिळाली पाहिजे, पण मुक्ती म्हणजे काय ते पण नाही माहिती. सो आय डिडंट इवन नो दॅट देर आर 5 टाइप्स ऑफ मुक्तीज दॅट they explain in the Varshastra, and different what is the destination. And something better than that is bhakti. That's what I learned by studying these scriptures, and it is given, everything clearly given here. Only thing is we need to understand, and we need a proper guide who can give us. And fortunately Prabhupada has given us this in English language, which sometimes I feel comfortable understanding in English than even Marathi sometimes, of course. So I read both, but and it helps actually. We are so fortunate to take birth in Bharat, and then also learning in Marathi. So that's why I can read this Devanagari very easily. I see so many people here, they cannot read Devanagari. And talking about Mukti, a couple of verses I was remember actually when you were saying Mukti Mukulanjalita Sevati Asman, that for a devotee, he doesn't aspire Mukti, but Mukti herself is standing in front of devotee of Krishna with folded hands and asking him, how can I serve you? That is the verse. I'm not sure where that comes, but and then there is also one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita that is said that Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Atayeva Shanta. So one who desires bhukti म्हणजे भोग करण्याची इच्छा आहे, खूप काम करून खूप भोग घ्यायचा, उपभोग घ्यायचा, खूप एन्जॉय करायचा. मुक्ती, ज्याला मुक्तीची इच्छा आहे, आणि सिद्धी म्हणजे एखादी मिस्टिक पॉवर. मला खूप अशी वेगवेगळ्या सिद्धी आपण म्हणतो, योगिक सिद्धीच मिळतात, छोटं व्हायचं किंवा मोठं व्हायचं किंवा काय पाहिजे ते मिळवायचं, जादू करायची असे कुठली तरी. भुक्ती मुक्ती सिद्धी कामी, ज्यांना, आणि कामी खूप डिझायर. सकली अशांत, all of them are not peaceful because they are desiring for something for their own sense gratification, for their own enjoyment. Even my own enjoyment. But Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, Krishna Bhakta doesn't desire anything other than salvation. Ata eva shant. So he is very peaceful in his mind. So that's what I was thinking when you were mentioning about this. So just wanted to refer that here. We were talking about Mukti and Bhakti. But thank you, Prabhuji. And again, everything is given here in our Shastra. This is a condensed version in Bhagavad Gita. But if we read more and more in Bhagavatam or other Puranas or other Upanishads, there are many examples of this, how different personalities achieved this, or what did they do, in what type of bhakti they did, what did they go through. So, very nice. Thank you, Kiran Prabhu. Chandrakant Prabhu, any closing thoughts? Jitu Prabhu is also there, right? Yeah.
Nothing, Prabhu. Anything additional from me now?
So, let me stop sharing and